guys, and welcome to this video is of Loki! Loki has premiered. I finally watched it and I really liked it. This was probably, I'd say, my favorite first episode out of all the 3 Marvel shows that we've gotten on Disney+. I really liked the way everything was structured, and the dialogue, and the humor, and just Tom Hiddleston as Loki in general. So I'm just gonna jump right into spoilers now. Where do we leave off with Loki? Last time we saw Loki was we saw him in Avengers Endgame. The Avengers went back in time to get the rest of the Infinity Stones. They went back in time to 2012. The first Avengers are happening. Loki's been captured. Future Iron Man is about to get the Tesseract, but the Hulk from 2012 slams the door. The Tesseract gets slid over to 2012 Loki, and Loki takes it and disappears. That's where we open with episode 1 of Loki. Loki gets transported to the Mongolian desert. These people come out of this portal. They're in kind of like soldier uniforms. They put a collar around his neck and they take him through that portal to the TVA. The TVA are the Time Variant Authorities. They are the ones that keep the timeline, the main sacred timeline, on track. And obviously 2012 Loki taking the Tesseract and jumping through time disrupted the timeline. The TVA was created to keep the sacred timeline, to keep the peace. Because a long time ago there was a war of multiverses. These Time Watchers rose up and took all these multiverses and pushed them together to create one normal, harmonious, sacred timeline. Which made me wonder, did the Avengers disrupt the timeline? But according to the TVA, when Loki's on trial, trying to blame the Avengers for giving him the Tesseract, the TVA says no, the Avengers were supposed to do that. Because the Avengers did go back in time, disrupt the timeline, create alternate timelines, but then they obviously, we all know, had Steve come back and put all of the stones back. This also makes me wonder, back and takes all the gems back, but then he's with Peggy. So does that create another timeline? Because now Captain America's old in this current timeline. How does that work? How does that work? Is she in trouble then? Like, is Steve get arrested? How does that work? I don't know, man. That's a lingering question I have. The lady puts Loki into some kind of like room thing, and there's this giant robot thing. He's trying to poke and prune at him. Looks like he's trying to take like Loki's clothes, and Loki's like,
"How dare you touch me? This is fine Asgardian leather!"
The robot is like, "Stand still," and just lasers his entire clothes off, so Loki's just standing there naked. I mean, I will say Tom Hiddleston did a really nice workout, because he's got them abs. I'm not gonna lie, I was staring at him, not gonna lie. He gets plopped down into another room. He's in a TVA uniform. He gets dropped down into another room, and the guys like walk through, and Loki's like, well, what is this? The thing to see if you're a robot or not. And Loki kind of has this like discussion of like, but what if I don't know I'm a robot? And he starts drooling like, am I a robot? Am I not a robot? And the guy's like, just step through the damn machine. And obviously this is the Loki TV show, but this episode there was a lot of like, I guess, therapy kind of sessions with Loki and Owen Wilson's character, and I really was I was here for that. I like seeing the Marvel characters that we've known for so long be more emotionally like opening and a more emotionally like traumatized, and seeing what's going on in their mind and really having like a therapy session with you. Like, Loki is to stand on trial because he's considered a variant. Variants are these things that leave their current straight, the sacred timeline, and they jump out and they make a mess of their timeline, and you start having multiple timelines, which could lead to another multiverse war. I really think what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a bunch of variants, and they're gonna cause some type of multiverse war, because between Doctor Strange being titled what it is, Loki now being a variant, and then you have supposedly Spider-Man 3 being 3 different Spider-Man, I believe we're gonna have another multiverse war. It just seems like what this show is discussing and talking about, what we've been seeing for the future of the MCU, I just think that is where we are going, is there's going to be a multiverse war of some kind. Maybe we'll see more of the timekeepers. I believe the TVA is going to play a big part in the rest of the MCU, but it just seems like that's where we're headed. To Owen Wilson's character, jump to 1549, Providence, France. So it seems like, according to what we learn here, that there's a very dangerous variant that is out and has been hunting and killing a lot of the TVA. Essentially, what Owen Wilson's character Morbius tells Loki at the end of the episode is that they want Loki's help to find and hunt down this variant. Wilson's character Morbius says the variant is Loki. Or is this past Lokis? Are they present Lokis? Because you disrupt the time stream, there could be multiverses of different Lokis. Because now this Loki's veered off his path again. So does that mean there could be other Lokis because he's veered off his path? So those Lokis have become current Lokis because of this Loki veered off his path. I don't know. This multiverse stuff and other timelines is a little confusing. Now want Loki's help to essentially help capture another variant, another Loki. And he kind of has this really good discussion and talk about with things about Loki. Like, he's like, well, what is your purpose? What do you want? And Loki's like, to rule Midgard, and then Asgard, and then whole of space. Like,
obviously, duh, I want to rule things.
Loki and him have this really good conversation, and Loki kind of talks about freedom, and how freedom was our first lie. Freedom breeds bad things. Because he said choice breeds shame, uncertainty, regret. He's not necessarily wrong to an extent. Freedom is a good thing to have, but he talks about how whenever there's a fork in the road, a person usually takes the bad path. In a way, he's not far off from the truth in some sense. That is true, but that's just life. All of life is uncertain. All of life is crazy, and you can have regrets and shame and all that in life. That's just life in general. No one ever said life was easy, but also choices can be a good thing. Like, in one way, I'm like, you're not wrong, but on the other hand, I'm like, no, yeah, you're wrong. Grinds into Loki. Do you like causing pain? Do you like causing suffering? Do you like killing people? And he shows Loki all the things he did in Avengers, taking that one guy's eye out, killing Phil Coulson, all the destruction he did on New York. Loki's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I did it, okay, whatever. Starts to show him the real timeline, the sacred timeline, the timeline that will always continue happening. The timeline that already happened that we all know. After Loki got arrested, he was taken to Asgard and put in a cell. This is currently 2012 Loki. So he doesn't know about any of this, even though that's what really happened. When you really think about it, Loki was technically responsible for his mother's death. It really takes Loki watching himself really see that. You know, in the jail cell where the dark elves come and Loki's like, might want to try the stairs. Without knowing it, was responsible for his mother's death. And I think that's what really we even see in Thor the Dark World, where Thor, after their mother's death, Thor goes to see Loki. Loki is like putting on this brave face. He's like looking all strong and powerful. And then Thor's like, no more games, Loki. And the glamour is lifted and the whole room is destroyed. He is an absolute mess. Frigga was the only one that Loki ever truly cared about, really, and the one that cared about him a lot. And you can just see he's starting to realize and see that, oh no, I was responsible for her death. And that just broke me. When you really think about it, he was the one that was responsible for his mother's death. The one person that he cared the most about, that cared about him the most, and he got her killed. He goes to like the main office desk area where there's like the office workers. He goes to Casey, threatens him if he doesn't give him the Tesseract back. So he gets the Tesseract. I know magic doesn't work at the TVA, but Jesus Louise, in the drawer is just a bunch of set of Infinity Stones. What the fuck? We learned from Casey, oh yeah, some of the guys use them as paperweights. I'm like, these are the stones that got Natasha, Tony Vision killed, and people are using them as paperweights. Like, I know they don't work in the TVA, but good lord. Oh yeah, they're just paperweights, but out of this place, they killed people. Loki has done a lot of terrible things. The first Avengers was really him at his height of like terror and nasty evil trickery. He started to like kind of find, I guess, to be less of that way, because in Thor 2 he does help Thor and he seems to be a little less that way. And in Thor 3, Thor is kind of like, I thought the world of you, Loki. I thought we were gonna do things together. Loki kind of was like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And then you have all the things that he did in Infinity War, where he tried to kill Thanos and distract him. He admits he doesn't enjoy hurting people. He doesn't enjoy causing pain. He doesn't enjoy killing people. Just has to do it. He says it's part of an illusion. A desperate play for control. The villain. An illusion. He doesn't enjoy doing it, but he's the god of mischief. He doesn't really have a choice. When we saw him in Thor 1, he wasn't necessarily a mischievous evil person. Kind of slowly got there, and then Thanos taking him over didn't really help, and then you have everything that happened in the first Avengers, and then he slowly started to get back to being kind of like, I'm not super nasty. I think Loki's a very interesting character. He does mischievous things, he does terrible things. He's not necessarily a good guy, but to an extent, he's not necessarily had the best upbringing either. He was a frost giant taken by Odin, raised him, to have him kind of living in Thor's shadow. Kind of like he's the god of mischief, but wherever he goes, chaos ensues. What Morbius says, this is what follows you, this is who you are. He sees Odin perishing, and then you get to the most unfortunate part. Loki tries to stab Thanos. Thanos grabs Loki by the neck. Flip away from the screen and you see Loki's face and you hear like a snap. So yeah, he just witnessed his own death. This is where Morbius announces that, and he needs Loki's help to essentially stop Loki. Episode 2 of Loki. Episode 2 was really fun. The beginning of the episode opens in 1985 in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Now, I live in Wisconsin. I've been to Oshkosh. That was pretty cool. The Time Lords are there looking for the variant. This Loki takes over and possesses the body of a TVA agent or a commander. This variant takes the commander and goes through a doorway. And we see now Loki is working a desk job. Loki is in a desk chair, has his own little office, so the god of mischief, Loki, who's tried to take over Asgard and Earth, stabbed a bunch of people multiple times, is sitting in an office chair in an office being quizzed about the TVA by Miss Minutes. I found that really funny. Everyone has a meeting about the different Loki variants and how they need to catch this one. Go through this projectual slide hologram of different variants of Loki. And anytime they talk about this other variant, Loki's like, you mean the inferior one, because I'm the superior one. Morbius and Loki and a bunch of other members go back to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and Loki does what Loki does best. He talks, being like, this is a trap, the thing's waiting for us outside. Mobius is like, I don't believe him, he's just lying. That's typical Loki. Trying to talk his way out of things, trying to keep up with his schemes. That's just what Loki's good for. That's what he's known for. He's the god of mischief. That's what he's good for. No surprise, because like Morbius says in this episode and the last episode, he's studied Loki. He knows his tricks. So he's like, he's just lying. That's what he does best. He lies to get out of situations. He schemes. That's what he does best. And that's true. We just know that's Loki. That's what we know him for. We love him, but we know that. So Morbius gives him the task of looking over all of the Loki variant case files. Knowing him, again, his scheming ways, he is like, so where are the files on the timekeepers? And the librarian says, that's classified. And he's like, where's the files from the beginning of time? She's like, that's classified. Loki's just like, fine, what files can I have? Of course. He gives him all of the Loki variant case files that Morbius wanted him to go over. Oh, what do you expect, Loki? They don't trust you. No one here really trusts you. He's going over these case files, and one of the case files he sees is the destruction of Asgard, Ragnarok. On the paper it says 0 variance activity. And he comes up with this theory, the variant is hiding in apocalyptic events. Because whatever the variant does in that timeline before that apocalyptic event will not disrupt the sacred timeline. He demonstrates this on Morbius' salad and ruins his salad completely. Say the variant would go and would come a little bit before the events of Ragnarok. Would mess up some things, maybe kill a few people. It wouldn't cause another branch because all of those people from Ragnarok die anyway. They demonstrate that by going to Pompeii. Loki just has a great time. He's also being a dick. He releases a bunch of goats, and then he starts throwing bread at people, and he's like,
This is your last meal. I can do whatever I want. You're all gonna die.
Just like, what the fuck, Loki? Morbius is just like, why? Why did I vouch for this guy? And their theory proves true. The volcano erupts, and there's no branch. Actually, it only works with disasters where no one survives. It's a very cool theory, the fact that they can do whatever they want before apocalyptic event and it wouldn't matter and it wouldn't disrupt the sacred timeline because all those people are going to die anyway. I read a tweet from Twitter about this. I can't remember the username, but they said no matter how many times Loki takes the wrong path, the wrong decision, does something bad, we still are hopeful that the next path, the next decision, he'll choose the right one. And it's true. We're thinking, well, maybe next time he'll do the right path, he'll choose the best path. I love you, Loki, but you're so frustrating. Between Loki's theory and now they had the gum, take the gum and they cross-reference it with the time the gum came out. Go to this store. The variant is stealing reset charges. The variant is possessed an agent that started talking to Loki. He's like, well, I just want to overthrow the TVA. Like, you could help me with that. I'm not surprised. The variant's like, no, I have my other plans. And Morbius and his team members go, they find the TVA commander agent that the variant kidnapped, possessed by the variant, gave away how to find the timekeepers. Oh, that is not good. That's not good. And reveals herself to be none other than Lady Loki. Oh my god. She activates all the time resets and they disappear. The sacred timeline looks like it's fucked. We all thought it was gonna be WandaVision that was gonna start the multiverse. No, it's probably 100% going to be Loki. The Lady Loki doing all these time resets and stuff. It's gonna create a Nexus event. We can see that. And it's going to create multiple realities, multiple timelines, the multiverse. Loki jumps through the portal after her, leaving Morbius and his agents. I'm pretty sure Loki is either going to follow Lady Loki or he is going to go back to the TVA, or I think he is going to go through history trying to throughout different time periods and try to rule. 'Cause this is 2012 Loki, so I feel like he still wants to rule. Two things I've learned from episode 3 of Loki. Loki has all this incredible magical powers and he tries to kill Thanos with a butter knife. So, it is confirmed that Loki is bi. Episode 3 opens in a weird way. You see, the commander that was kidnapped, variant Loki, Lady Loki, as we later find out, she is a variant Loki, but she goes by Sylvie now. That's her new identity. So she's trying to get information and the location of the timekeepers. She explains it to Loki later on that she has to physically touch someone, and in doing so, she grabs hold of their mind. But for a stronger person, it's both her and the person in their own mind. And she has to kind of create an illusion, a memory of theirs, and create it into illusion so she can get information. That's what she does with this commander TVA. I like that we're seeing a lot of more of Loki's magic, and we're getting more information about it. We know a lot about Loki, but there's also a lot of things we don't know about Loki. Like that we got to explore it in this episode a little bit more too, especially when him and Lady Loki are on this train. They're having a conversation about their mom. He's talking about his mom and how much he really loved her. He doesn't really say he really loved her, but your expressions and your facial patterns speak louder than words. Actions are speaking louder than your words, Loki. We can all tell how much Frigga meant to you. And she actually went back to the TVA, so Loki's back where he started, at the TVA. She got information to where the timekeepers are, and they are in this golden elevator. I guess you go down the elevator and the timekeepers are maybe down there doing their thing. What they're doing, are they real? I don't really believe they exist. They fight. Loki gets a hold of this template thing, the thing that can transport you to different times, or in this case, different apocalyptic events, because obviously that's where she was hiding. We found out in the last episode. He gets a hold of that and he accidentally transports them to Lamentus 1, 2077. He transports them into the frickin' future. Apparently Lamentus 1 is a moon planet going to crash in to said moon that they are on. So the template they have, Loki has it. He refuses to give it back because he doesn't trust her. Obviously, she doesn't trust him. They're both Lokis. They got trust issues.
Because I got issues. You got them too.
You have to find a way to charge the template because it's dying. You need to find a charger big enough to charge it, a power source big enough. Find this little hut on the edge of town. There's a lady in the hut. We find out from this lady about this train that has all these people on it that are going towards an arc, and the arc will get them off of the planet. They get on the train with a few complications, as always, because Loki's plans are never 100% solid. Know that for a fact. They're trying to open up to each other, kind of, like, because they're going to be on the train. They're going to have to work together. He kind of talks about his mom. He's like, well, I was adopted. And she's like, I know. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I knew I was adopted. So I guess this variant of Loki knew she was adopted, because Morbius even says that there's little variations with the Lokis. It could be an appearance too. It could be in small little parts of your life. Loki asked her about her magic, and apparently she taught herself how to do the illusions with people's minds. This is where they start having a conversation about love. Lady Loki kind of tells him, well, you're a prince of Asgard. You know, you're a prince. Didn't you have any worthy princesses? Or another prince, perhaps? And Loki just is like, a bit of both. Loki is bi. It has been established and confirmed. Loki is bi. I'm all here for it. We love and support you, Loki. Keep continuing having their conversation of love. Lady Loki says love is mischief. Loki kind of doesn't really know what love is. Loki doesn't really know what love is because he hasn't really experienced much love in his life. All he really had was Frigga, and she was the only one that he loved very much, even though you can see he doesn't really want to admit it or very much talk about it. I mean, he loved Thor and Odin in his own way. He just hasn't really had much love in his life because he was adopted by Odin, but he always kind of felt like he was in Thor's shadow. He's never really had much love in his life, so he doesn't really know what it is. It's, in a way, it's very new to him, in a sense, which is, unfortunately, when you think about it, very sad, but with the kind of upbringing he's had, it's not really surprising. I think we all forget, this is 2012 Loki. This Loki is so new that he's straight out of, like, Thor 1, Avengers 1. All he knows is his love for Frigga and everything that she did for him. And his love for Thor and Odin is there, but it's not where it was in Ragnarok, because this is still 2012 Loki. So when you think about that too, it's just like, oh my god. No wonder he doesn't really know what love is, because if you'd ask Loki in Infinity War what love is, I think he would have somewhat of an answer, but this Loki has no answer because he hasn't experienced what the other Lokis experienced yet. Drunk Loki is really fun Loki. He was singing a song being like, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-la-di-da, but then he takes his drink. I love this callback. His drink, slams it on the ground, and is like, another! You know that scene in Thor 1 where Thor is in the cafe and he takes his drink and he's like, another! I love that callback. A guy kind of looked at Loki and Lady Loki very shiftily and got the other guards, and they have a fight, and Loki gets thrown out the window with Sylvie, so they are now off the train. Of course, to add insult to injury, the template is broken, and it just like crumbles in Loki's hands. They're fucked. They don't really have any other options at this point. The episode was really good. It was really fun. This is where things start to get like, I'm on for the ride. Loki suggests that they hijack the Ark. Why don't we hijack the Ark and make sure it leaves so that we can survive? Obviously, their plan doesn't go 100% correct. When they get closer towards that town where the Ark is, the planet breaks in half and is raining down hailfire, raining down hell. Visuals in this is very pretty. Marvel really likes to use a lot of dark purple and a lot of purple like lighting and stuff, but I was all here for it. I love the color purple, so seeing all of the purple accents, the purple lighting, the purple glowing effects, it was very nice, very pretty. Debris is falling, and a huge chunk of debris hits and capsizes the Ark, cuts it in half, and it cuts. That's the end of the episode. So what we did get this episode, and I've been hearing theories here and there about the TVA, how a lot of people didn't think the TVA was real. Some people were saying the Timekeepers weren't real and it was just Kane the Conqueror. One lady that was in charge of Loki's trial, in the comics, I believe she has an on and off relationship with Kane the Conqueror, who we know is going to be in Ant-Man 3. So, Kane the Conqueror being the only timekeeper and being maybe in the basement working the timeline himself makes sense, but I'm not going to jump to that conclusion yet because we all know what happened with Mephisto, so I'm not going to go there. But we learned from Sylvie, she talks about how taking over the TVA commander, her mind was a mess. So she had to pull a memory from 100 years prior before she fought for the TVA. Because Sylvie drops another bombshell that she, the commander, was just a normal person from Earth. That all the TVA members are variants. Makes sense. Where did all these people come from? Morbius, all these people, they were regular people and they were variants. They deviated from the sacred timeline and they were made into TVA members. They must have had all of their memories either wiped or locked away so tightly in their own mind that they don't know who they really are. That might explain why Casey doesn't know what a fish is, because either his memory of fishes has been wiped or he was taken from many years ago, so he doesn't know what a fish is. That's why Morbius is not allowed to ride a jet ski, because the timekeepers or whoever is leading all of this told him it would disrupt and probably break the timeline. I have so many more questions. So to punish these people for deviating from the sacred timeline, they made the timekeepers or whoever made them into TVA members again. But then they probably destroyed their timeline they were in. But if they are all variants like this other Loki, wouldn't it create another branch? So did the TVA or whoever destroy the branch that all of these variants came from so that they can't go back now, so they're just stuck in the TVA? I have so many questions. I have so many more questions. You get answers, but then it's like WandaVision, you have more questions than answers. Like all the TVA are variants. Who is in the basement, or who is in those behind those golden elevators? Is it Kane? Who is it? I don't know. This episode there were a lot of things dropped in us, but I'm so excited to see where episodes 4, 5, and 6 go. There's a lot going on. So many possibilities. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this review or discussion for episodes 1 through 3. So let me know what you guys thought about episodes 1, 2, and 3, and I will see you guys with another video very soon. Bye guys!